Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to another episode of the South Carolina Gamecocks Dynasty here on EA Sports College Football 25, where today we're going to start year number 7 in the South Carolina Gamecocks Dynasty. Now, even though we're going to start the season, we're not going to actually play any games because our first game is against an FCS opponent. So this will be a good time to just meet some of the recruits as well that we will be targeting early, specifically the 5 stars that we're going to be going after, because there are 8 5-star recruits who have interest in this school. So we'll highlight those guys today, as well as simulate week 1, see how the Gamecocks do, and get ready for our first feature game in the next episode. So if you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more Dynasty mode content. Now, it is week 0 first. Now, we don't play in week 0, so we'll take a look at the recruiting to begin this episode, and we're coming off a 14th ranked class, and here are the guys we will be targeting in the early stages of the season. They're all the 5 stars. On the top of our board is defensive tackle Jalen Scroggins from Pulaski County High School in Somerset, Kentucky. He is a gem. He is the 2nd ranked defensive tackle in the nation, 6'3", 300 pounds with a speed rusher build as well, which is pretty impressive. And he is a gem. So this guy seems like the real deal. We've had a lot of success on the defensive line, and why not add some more? He's got 87 finesse move, 86 tackle, 85 acceleration, 91 strength, 81 speed. He seems like a complete package and a disruptor up the middle, which is why he is the number 1 guy on our board. We are going to have a tough time battling Kentucky, though, stealing him away from the state. But we're going to do our best to do that, as well as Purdue also being in the hunt. Our second guy is also defensive tackle. This is Alejandro Marciano from Oxon Hill High School in Maryland. He is also defensive tackle. He is the 3rd rank, so he is right behind Scroggins, a 5-star recruit, 6'1", 339, and he's strong. He's more of a run stopper kind of build, 91 strength, 76 block shed. Not as good as Scroggins. He's a little bit slower. I don't think he has the full set to be a 3-down defensive tackle like Scroggins, but he is a solid filler up the middle. We haven't had a true nose in this series, and even though we are switching to a 4-2-5, maybe it doesn't fit our scheme as well, but we're going to give him the max points, and we're kindly in a battle with him. Clemson, Auburn, Oklahoma, Ohio State, all in the mix for Alejandro Marciano. Now, the 3rd guy on our board, I would have higher, but I can only put 65 points into him, is wide receiver Carlos Johnson from Cordova High School in Cordova, Tennessee. The 2nd ranked wide receiver in the class, 6'3", 198, a gem, a physical receiver. You know, we lost a lot of talent at the wide receiver position this past year, and we're a little bit unproven there outside of maybe Juan Gallegos. And I think a guy like Carlos Johnson can step in right away and prove to be a helper. 91 spec catch, 85 catch in traffic, 82 short, 81 catch. I mean, he can catch the football, and he's more of a guy who will probably help in those short yardage situations with 97 jumping as well. He can also get some height as well, but he also has 87 release, 94 speed, so he's either an underneath guy, but I think he can also play on the outside as well. A lot of schools currently in the mix, but we are currently out in front of Liberty, Mississippi State, UAB, Marshall, Cincinnati, and Missouri. I think these are all schools that we can definitely contend with. I'm surprised the Volunteers aren't up there, but I'm not complaining. Our 4th guy on the board is back to the defense, middle linebacker Mike Forsett from Mallard Creek High School in Charlotte, North Carolina, the same high school that Thaddeus Moss went to, the son of Hall of Famer Randy Moss. He is 6', 223, a pass coverage linebacker, and I think this is what we need in the defense. I think we need a linebacker who can cover, especially since we are switching to a 4-2-5 defense, and I think Mike Forsett is that build that we are looking for. 74 zone off the rip is pretty good. 90 speed, 93 acceleration, good pursuit, good tackling as well. I think he has the prototypical build that probably as early as a sophomore he could find the field. We are currently behind NC State, Virginia Tech, and Duke in this race, though, so it's not going to be easy to get Forsett. Back to the offense, number 5, we have tight end Ty Stoke, the first guy from the state, as he's from Chester High School in Chester, South Carolina, the 2nd best tight end in the class. He is listed as a bust, and he is a blocker, which isn't my favorite, but he is a 5-star, and he's okay. He's got good strength. I think he, isn't quite deserving of the 5-star build, but we will target 5 stars. It helps improve the program and everything. And we're the only guy offering him a scholarship, so I think we could get this one done early and grab Ty Stoke. At number 6, we have a halfback, Kareem Sturgis from Pompano Beach High School in Florida, the same high school that Myron Lewis and a few others went to. We lost Wade Mann this past offseason to the draft, and, we don't really have anybody to replace him. And I think a guy like Kareem Sturgis could really be that guy and help out Shaquille Brock, give him another security blanket. He's a receiving back. He's got good hands at 80 catching, 79 route running with 93 speed. I think he is a good out-of-the-backfield guy. He can contribute early on third downs. Not as good in between the tackles, I would say. He's definitely better as a strictly wide receiver type of halfback, which makes me think maybe we could swing him outside to potentially be a wide receiver. We'll have to wait and see what happens with him. But he is the number 19th recruit in the country, and he's got a lot of interest. It's not going to be easy to beat Miami, though. They have a pretty sizable lead on the in-state product, also behind Georgia Tech, and Tulane is also in the mix. At number 7, we have an athlete, Mario Sosa from Pinecrest School, a private school in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He plays quarterback, 6'5", 203. He's got that prototypical build. He can throw the football at all levels, pretty fast as well. He's kind of dominating down there in Fort Lauderdale, and he's drawn the attention of a lot of big schools in the meantime. Miami, Georgia, Florida State, Florida, all in the race, all ahead of us. So we have our battle cut out for him as well. The final guy at number 8 is also a quarterback, Noah Offenheisel from Sumter High School right here in the state, where Derek Witherspoon and a couple of other guys went from. 6'1", 208. He's more of an improviser. I don't think he's as good as Sosa, but I think he's pretty decent. The speed has me a little concerned for an improviser's skill set, but he has pretty good deep accuracy. He can throw on the run, and he's got a couple of interests from NC State, who seems to be pulling away Tennessee and Clemson, so not going to be easy. But those are the 5 stars that we're going after. There's 8 of them. Let me know in the comments section who you think is the top guy in this group of people. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and simulate week 0 and get into week number 1 and see if the Gamecocks start the season 1-0. So week 1 now on the books, and there's some huge games to begin the season. Clemson and Georgia go at it. Western Kentucky, the runner-ups, with a big test to open the season. They're not shying away from competition. They got to go to the big house to face Michigan. The defending champion Auburn Tigers will host number 7 Miami, and then 2 versus 3 Rutgers and West Washington, the 2 top teams in the Big Ten from last year. Washington, though, will come into that game with a loss. They lose to Hawaii in week 0 in the only televised matchup. As we simulate week 1, and in our first game of the season, we will beat Furman 38-6. So a good win against the Paladins. Shaquille Brock started the season, 210 yards, 3 touchdowns. So a solid performance for the sophomore. The ground game, though, did not do very good. Goodman scored a touchdown, but not a good effort on the ground. The receiving game, Gallegos stepped up, 7 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Good job to become the new number 1 receiver. Danny Cribbs also got his first career receiving touchdown, and so did Sony Dore, but he's actually hurt. We'll have to check in on that. No pancakes in the offensive line. The defensive line played good. 2.5 sacks for Bodden, 1 for Cottrell, and a half for Perkins with an interception, while Eskridge, Parkey, and Laybourne also got 1. But the key thing in this game, there were some injuries that went down, and it was more than just 1. We had 3 injuries in this game. Keelan Rugamba, our right tackle, is hurt with a foot fracture. And also Frank McCord fractured his foot too. Was something wrong with a turf? And then Sony Dore is going to be out for 8 games with a dislocated ankle. So our starting halfback is out. So not a good start for the Gamecocks. The win came at a price. Speaking of wins, Auburn with a classic beats Miami 24-23. Michigan does knock off Western Kentucky. And the other big game, Georgia beats Clemson by a touchdown. And then Washington does beat Rutgers. Those are the 4 big games. We see the scores. Here are the scores in week 1. Virginia will beat Arkansas in a non-conference clash, 30-24. NC State narrowly beats Kentucky in a battle of top 25 teams. And then Purdue takes care of Troy on the following Monday. But on Saturday, Iowa beat UMass to start their season 1-0. Texas State beat North Texas. Tough loss for the Mean Green. We talked about before the season how they're going to be out their starting quarterback. West Virginia, the Big 12 opener, beats Texas Tech in week 1. Cincinnati over Bowling Green. Old Dominion beats Army by a point. Duke, in a battle of college basketball blue buds, beats UConn by 4. Notre Dame beating Indiana 44-41, start 2-0. Northwestern on the road beats Toledo. Virginia Tech with a nice victory against Arizona at home. SMU will knock off Colorado 33-21. Michigan State knocks off Central Michigan. We saw Georgia beat Clemson. Clemson no longer ranked, by the way. Missouri goes to Ohio in a rare case and wins 35-14. And Appalachian State upsets Tennessee, a huge win for the Mountaineers, beating Tennessee 24-17. UTEP doubles up Eastern Michigan. Oklahoma beats their in-state smaller school in Tulsa. We see Baylor drop 50 on Fresno State. Boise State, in a battle of Group 5 contenders, beats Memphis 37-34. Louisville over USF. Mississippi State enters the rankings with a victory over Washington State. Rice knocks off Kennesaw State. We see East Carolina, who will play next week, go and beat Arizona on the road. A big win for the Pirates. Ohio State takes care of Georgia Southern. And in the game of the week, Washington beat Rutgers 46-38. The Big Ten rematch goes the way of the Huskies this time. Wyoming, with a big victory on the road, beats Boston College. Not a good look for the Eagles. Iowa State over at Liberty 38-21. Louisiana Monroe beats LSU. The Tigers losing to a smaller in-state school. That's never a good look. Even though Louisiana Monroe was good last year, I thought LSU was a dark horse this year in the SEC. Texas over Pittsburgh on the road. Navy blanks Cal across the country. San Jose State knocks off UTSA. Stanford beats Hawaii a week after they just beat Washington. And then we see Alabama knock off Georgia Tech and teams that want to be contenders in Power 4 conferences. And then we see Western Michigan over Arkansas State. Florida State with a big victory on the road against Southern Miss. Kansas State knocks Nebraska out of the rankings and takes their spot by beating them by a field goal. UNLV over Middle Tennessee State. Northern Illinois with a big victory against Marshall by 28 points. And then Michigan did beat Western Kentucky 28-17. The Hilltoppers, though, did put up a fight at least. Texas A&M slaughters Jacksonville State at home. Auburn with a point over Miami. Kent State beats Louisiana. And then Air Force's Pac-12 season doesn't get off to a good start. They lose to San Diego State before rounding out the week. Ole Miss knocks off Oregon State. Here are your players of the week. Chuck Kessler had 2 sacks for Kansas State, while Joe Costanzo had a good performance. 8 passing touchdowns for the Penn State quarterback. Your SEC players of the week are Eric Lozano of Ole Miss and Marquise Howden of Alabama. Here are your top 25 rankings after week 1. Some changes with some of the big games, but Auburn does stay at the top, while Oregon does jump to number 2. Even though that Washington beat Rutgers, they fall because they lost to Hawaii in week 0. We move up 2 spots to number 19, and Mississippi State, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State all enter the rankings this week. Some big games this week as well. Top 25 schools, Arkansas will play number 2, Oregon. We'll see Tulane and Mississippi State trying to figure out who's legit of those two. Notre Dame plays host to Florida State. The Seminoles won a big season this year. And then number 8, Washington looks to stay the ship against Tennessee, who just lost to Appalachian State. As far as our Week 2 opponents, our first game we will watch will play host to East Carolina, who picked up a nice road victory in their first game against Arizona State. This is not the easiest Group of 5 team. I think East Carolina is a pretty solid team. I don't think they're as talented as us, but they do have some impact players at some of the key positions. So this will not be easy. You don't want to take ECU lightly, especially after we're coming off 3 injuries in Week 1. We'll see how South Carolina can perform. But we'll see that one in the next episode as we finally get back into some gameplay. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, if you did, make sure you drop that like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more Dynasty Mode content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.